up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies, your place to talk about the stuff that you love. You guys, we got a whole bunch of stuff to cover today. Some stuff that I'm kind of this is some of my favorite stuff to talk about today. And of course, movies. Mike, you say every day is your favorite day to talk about all things movies and movie news. Well, you guys, today is a bit of a special day because I am in love with all of these particular topics today. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. But just in case you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Click that little red rectangle in the top right-hand corner of the screen. And what doing that is going to do, it's going to widen our subscriber base, which means more people watch the videos on the channel. And with the more watched content the channel gets, I get to make this show my full-time job. So, yippee skippy! Anyway, you guys, if you have a question or a comment, or if there's anything in particular that you guys want to talk about, pardon me, just send me an email at gottalovethemovies@gmail.com, and as long as it's family friendly, we'll make your topic or your question, your comment, a main topic here on the show. So, that being said, let's jump in. Let's take some movie news. All right. It's no surprise, you guys. It's no surprise that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is one of my favorite IPs on planet Earth. I wrote a one-man show about it. I starred in it. It's about how the Turtles kind of like inspired me and blah blah blah. Like I have a lot of love for the Turtles, right? And of course, last year it was announced that Seth Rogen was going to be involved in making an animated TMNT reboot movie. And I was like, yep, I'm all in. I'm all in. Evan Goldberg, Seth Rogen. You guys, I am all about this. I do love me some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I love Seth Rogen. Evan Goldberg. I think they're a wonderful collaborative team, and they've got some really cool stuff to say. Well, in case you weren't aware, yesterday, 2 days ago, however long ago it was, doesn't matter when it was, very, very recently, Seth Rogen put out a tweet. And here in this particular article from Joe Blow, Seth Rogen put out a tweet, which is kind of some sciencey notes. We're gonna break it down. There's a lot here, you guys. There is a lot here to cover. There's a lot here to break down. There's a lot here to discuss. Yeah. But before we do that, I want to go back into this article real quick from Joe Blow, where they talk about having what it's like to have Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. They say here adding so this is Brian Robbins, who's president of Kids and Family Entertainment for Viacom CBS, also known as Paramount, like the whole Paramount, Viacom, blah blah blah, like that whole, doesn't matter. He added that Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and James. Oh man, I totally lost his name. James Weaver. Their genius to the humor and in action that's already integral. It's an integral part of the TMNT, is going to make this a next level reinvention of the property. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, and I know that Ramsey Naoto, I sure hope I'm saying that even close to correctly, and her team are excited to take the Nick Animation Studio into another great direction with their first ever CG animated theatrical. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. When speaking with Insider last year, Seth Rogen had this to say: when I look at the TMNT, the teenage part was weirdly what stuck out to me the most. I think one thing we've been pretty consistently good at over the years is creating material about teenagers, from Blockers, Good Boys, and Superbad. That was really what became exciting for us. Is how to make a great action adventure movie that's also a great teenage movie. So yeah, kind of hearkening what Seth Rogen says about this. Like, I agree. He and Evan Goldberg are masters when it comes to like taking really fun, action-y kind of things and making it about a good teenage story, a coming-of-age kind of story. And take the teenage aspect out of it. I think he's great at telling coming-of-age stories, right? Whatever age group that happens to be in, he's really great at making a coming-of-age story. So anyway, guys, I want to jump over here to Seth Rogen's actual tweet, or rather the photo that he tweeted. There's a lot to break down here, and I've got a whole separate thing where we're going to go by line by line and kind of break everything down. So in case you haven't seen it already, here is the photo that Seth Rogen tweeted. You know, on its surface, it looks like a very generic kind of, oh, this is a teenager in high school. It looks like he's in science class and he's taking notes, and these are, you know, he's kind of half paying attention to what the teacher's saying, and, you know, kind of doing some doodles, and all right, the teacher's talking about whatever, so let's, right? But I think Seth Rogen is giving a lot away. I think Seth Rogen is giving a lot away as to what this movie is going to be, as to what the story is, as to some of the villains, certain things that we can expect. So let's jump in here real quick. I want to break this down for you. All right, so here we are. We're going to break down Leo's notes. So what's the first thing that pops out to us about this? Well, we have a release date. First and foremost, probably the biggest piece of news here from Seth Rogen's tweet is that we have a release date, August 11th, 2023. It's a little over 2 years away, which makes sense. You know, if they're still writing the story, they don't know what to animate yet, and animation takes a long time. You know, they still have to get their vocal cast together, they have to record and all that. So it's still a little over 2 years away, which is fine. But first and foremost, we have a release date. And in case you didn't see that before, let me just jump in real quick. You can see in the top right-hand corner of the screen, it says Leonardo, August 11th, 2023, Science 1. And then again, right above the top of the page on the left side, August 11th, 2023. So it's all pretty evident right there. All right. So the next thing that jumps out to me here is that obviously this is heavy on the science references. So I think there's a lot about this movie that is going to be science, maybe not heavy, but, you know, science, rooted in science. A lot of the story and the mutations, I think we're going to get a lot, because again, like, it begs the question, why is Leonardo taking science notes? Because Donatello has always been, I think there's something going on with Donatello, but more about that later. Donatello's always been the science guy. He's always been the genius. He's always been the tech nerd. So I think Leonardo's journey into science, first and foremost, I think this is a Leo movie. I don't think this is going to be yes, it's an ensemble movie, because it is. It just has to be. But I think this is more so going to be about Leonardo's journey than anyone else. I think it's heavily going to be about Leonardo as the leader of the team, right? So I think I think there's something going on with Donatello, and like I said, more about that later, that is forcing Leonardo to go more into the science of what is mutagen, how does this work, who are these scientists, how do I do blah, blah, blah with this science stuff, right? Okay. I think there's going to be some evil science experiments. Now, breaking news. What, Mike? Evil science experiments in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie? What? I know. I'm a massive TMNT fan. It's every single episode, there's like some evil science experiment. I know. I get it. But let's jump in here to the notes really quick. You know, just kind of looking at this, when you look at it on the surface, you're like, oh, okay, he's taking notes. And some of this is hard to read just because of Seth Rogen's, I assume Seth Rogen wrote all of this out himself. But, you know, he talks about like Swedish chemists, per Theodor Clave, who's an actual real scientist. Under the nitrogen thing, he's actually calling out Antoine Lavoisier, who discovered nitrogen. He was the scientist in France who discovered oxygen. He also discovered nitrogen. You might be asking yourself, Mike, are you reciting all of this from memory? No. I had to look all of this up. I looked all of this up before this video because I was like, who are these people? So yeah, so there's that. Okay. But down under the last elemental kind of category, it says it's a technology, critical element, semiconductor, other machines, solar panels, semi-toxic, fungi can use it instead of sulfur in amino acids, will be on test. So I think that, why would he put will be? Also, look, there's like a little, it looks more of like a star under the will be on test. And if you can't find will be on test, it's right above the sword that says honor and loyalty, will be on test. It's possible that is also connecting to the asterisk in the top right-hand corner of the page. Like I said, you guys, I might be looking too much into this, but I think there are so many clues. I think there are so many clues that Seth Rogen has laid out here. Because, why else would he do this? Look at the asterisk. Not quite in the top right-hand corner. Here, let me recenter it for you. Colas Shredder. I know, Shredder. But this is an actual scientist who's living today, I believe in, is it Norway? Norway or Sweden, somewhere in Scandinavia. Colas Shredder is, and again, let's look at what this is all connecting to. It's a radiation source in portable X-ray devices, and in something lasers. I can't quite make out what it is that solid state lasers. I don't know. Non-toxic. Colas Shredder signal processing challenges for digital holographic video display systems. So again, I think there are, yes, this is heavy on the science, but I like with holographic projections, and there was another thing in here about something about the nitrogen, the caffeine and morphine come from it. It blocks the receptors of animal neurotransmitters. So again, why even mention that kind of stuff if you weren't going to perform evil experiments, right? So coming out of some of these evil experiments, let's go back into the chalkboard real quick. Next, Leo needs to learn discipline. Leo needs to learn discipline. And again, why would he put it in the top right-hand corner, top left-hand corner of the page, where he has a little illustration of himself with discipline? And it's kind of a big highlight. So again, that says to me a lot about this movie, that Leonardo is going on his own journey. I think something's happened to Donnie. We'll get to it. He has to go through the scientific journey himself, of self-discovery. Let's pull up the next one. Leo is on a quest to discover himself. Now, again, where am I getting this from? Let's jump back into the illustration, shall we? We'll scroll down a little bit. See the little canister of mutagen on the left-hand side? It says, "Who am I?" Who am I? This is Leonardo taking notes in the middle of science class, and of course, they're talking about all these elements. Supposedly, if the narrative of this illustration is to be derived, Leonardo is learning all about these elements and the mutagen and what does this do and what does that do, and he comes to this moment of realization that he decides to scribble in his notebook that says, "Who am I?" Who am I? Right next to a canister of mutagen. He knows where, I'm sure Splinter has explained to him where he came from. But who is he? What is it that makes him tick? What is his purpose? Why is he here? I think these are all questions that are going to be central to the character of Leonardo. And again, like, all of this stuff that I'm saying is probably like, well, yeah, Mike, water is wet. What other news do you have? That's just the character of Leonardo. But being that Seth Rogen took the time to write this out, I think we're going to have like a very clear narrative. Like, I'm not going to say an origin story, but like, we're going to probably walk away from this with a very clear understanding of what makes Leonardo tick. Next on breaking down Leo's notes, I think April's upset with the turtles. I think something went down. And I'm probably going to reference the disappearance of Donatello, and again that will come in later. I probably should have put that much higher on the list, but I think something possibly went down with Donatello. Where's the here we go. Yeah, let's scroll back up right under Leonardo's illustration of himself saying discipline. Right below it, apologize to April. Why? Like, it sounds like he directly is responsible for something going on with April. Maybe he's directly responsible for the disappearance of Donatello. Maybe it's because he wasn't paying attention in science class. Maybe it's because Donatello is getting so frustrated with his brothers. He's the science nerd. How many decades... First of all, how many decades have they been teenagers? But second of all, how many decades has he spent trying to explain the science stuff to his brothers? And, Leonardo is so focused on being the perfect leader. And Raphael is so distracted at trying to harness his anger, bridle his anger a little bit. Michelangelo is too much of a crazy person, having too much of a fun. He's the cowabunga dude. He's having too much fun to reel it in and actually pay attention. And so when Leonardo doesn't pay enough attention to Donatello, maybe Donatello pieces out. And maybe it's April that holds Leo accountable for that. I think that's very plausible. April holds Leonardo directly responsible for whatever happened to Donatello. And again, we'll get into that. We'll get into why I think Donatello's missing in just a minute. All right, let's jump back into the chalkboard. Next, I think this takes place in the 90s. I don't think that this is a particularly important note. But again, look at some of the scribbles. Look at the hilt of Leonardo's sword. There's like this little backwards S kind of drawing thing, and right next to like a checkered board, he's kind of scribbling on his notes there. That S was ridiculously popular in the 90s. Having grown up in the 90s, having lived through, having gone to school in the 90s, I can tell you that little letter S, that backwards scribble S thing, that was invented in the 90s. It went viral before going viral was a thing. Take this. Think about this for a second. This is the power of how popular and viral things were before the internet, all right? The internet didn't exist. Well, the internet in its popular form didn't exist yet. And that little backwards S emblem, that little symbol thing, somebody somewhere created it as a doodle, and somebody else saw it and said, I want to draw that. And then somebody else saw it. And then it went from school from this school to that school, from, an older brother to a younger brother. Maybe somebody moved from Atlanta to Seattle, and somebody else started drawing it in Seattle. And then, now it kind of became a thing in Seattle. Like, it grew. Who nobody knows who created this thing. Trust me, I've looked it up. Nobody knows exactly where this came from, but that is a signature marker of the 1990s. That was a signature marker of going to school in the 1990s. There was a doodle that everybody did, and when I say everybody did it, I'm not just saying I did it and I represent everybody. that was such a cultural phenomenon that didn't mean anything. Everybody was aware of it. Everybody did it. So why include it in the notes? Well, I think that's because this movie is going to take place in the 90s. That was such an iconic mark of the 90s. I think it's going to take place in the 90s. All right, next. Okay, let's look at the notes here. There are at least 3 different types of mutagen here. All right. Let me jump back into the thing. Sorry, guys, I should have had this little more organized for you. All right. So scrolling down underneath honor and loyalty, we have the category of mutagens. It changes the genetic sequence, and they are a main cause of diversity in organisms, right? So types of mutagen, you have deletion, duplication, and translocation. Up until these notes, we've only known about mutagen as a very generic thing. Where's my canister of mutagen? We've only known of mutagen as like a very generic container. We know that TCRI created this kind of mutagen to help grow and mutate organisms a little bit, specifically in plants, to help grow super plants so that we can have more food and more abundance and take food costs and make them lower and, end the war on hunger and all that stuff, right? So that was the goal of TCRI, and then Shredder and Krang and blah, 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 whoever else you want to blame or talk about, maybe Baxter Stockman, they weaponized it. And they used it on themselves. They used it on each other. They created Rocksteady Bebop. The Turtles were created. Hamato Yoshi got turned into, depending on which origin story you believe, Hamato Yoshi got turned into a rat, so on and so forth, right? But now, based on these notes, it looks like we're going to get at least three different types of mutagens. And with 3 different types of mutagens, you guys, this is very reminiscent of, do you remember in the comics, in the Superman comics, when they started introducing new different types of kryptonite? Yeah, there's always been green kryptonite. But guess what? There's also red kryptonite, there's black kryptonite, there's blue kryptonite, there's white kryptonite. I believe there was a silver kryptonite at one time. And each kryptonite gave Superman a different set of abilities. So I think they're probably going to toy around with this idea of different types of mutagens, whether they're going to be different color. I think it would be cool if they were all different colors, because the green mutagen historically has been the mutagen that like transforms people into a thing. But I think based on these notes, we're also going to get deletion, duplication, translocation, which I think that's a really interesting characteristic. And then underneath, I don't know if you can see, it says unintended mutations. We'll talk about that in just a second. All right, let's jump back into the notes here. Baxter Stockman, an ally? Now, I put this as a question. Is Baxter Stockman going to be an ally? Now, again, let's jump into the notes here. On the left-hand side, we have a little illustration. We have a little drawing of what looks to be a human man who is frustrated, and he's screaming, "Pay attention!" with 2 exclamation marks. And you can see the... Oh, sorry. I thought I had the... There we go. Okay, sorry about that. All right, here we go. So you have what looks to be a human man screaming, "Pay attention!" He has these fuming anger marks coming out of his head with a few flies buzzing around him. And now right underneath his mouth, there's a little graph. And we don't know what the graph is. It kind of goes up and then down and up and then down, then up. So, I mean, if that were my own speculation, I would think that that's more of a... like his anger kind of going up and then down and then up and then down and then up again. But also we have these flies buzzing about. Now, by itself, this doesn't necessarily mean Baxter Stockman. I understand that. I realize that, okay. But you have clearly this is Leonardo being frustrated at the teacher, and so he's drawing. Like, how many of us have done this in school? We all have that one teacher that we're like, oh, you're dumb, and so you draw a negative photograph of them, or like a negative depiction in your notes, in the margins of your notes, just like you did here, of the teacher, this case being the science teacher, and flies in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe, flies, scientist, human. I mean, come on, that's Baxter Stockman. And if Baxter Stockman is the teacher in this scenario of Leonardo, does that mean that Baxter Stockman is now an ally? I mean, where else is Leonardo going to get his information from? Well, Donatello. But okay. I think we've come to that part in the notes here. I think Donatello has gone missing. Now, I've been saying this a few times as I've been listing out all of these, breaking down the notes here. But I do think that Donatello's gone missing. Again, let's jump into Seth Rogen's notes here. All right. Right at the bottom left-hand corner, you have Mikey, who's in drama club. You have Raph, who's in math class right now. And then you have Donnie with 3 question marks. Where's Donatello? I mean, this could be read as, oh, Mikey is the dramatic one. Raphael doesn't know math. But I think these are all the classes. Like, again, taking into consideration, like, they're all in class right now and they're all learning a different subject. Leonardo is in science class right now. I think Michelangelo is in drama club or drama class right now. And I think Raphael is in math class right now. But where's Donatello? We don't know. So that's why I say, like, again, based on this little thing right there, I think Donatello has gone missing. And I think that right there, that's what, why is this so blurry? Sorry, you guys. Camera always gets blurry. I think that is going to be the impetus for everything else. Donatello's gone missing. Where did he go? Why is April mad and upset? Why is it now incumbent upon Leonardo to take science classes? Who is he going to take science classes from? Baxter Stockman? But we've always known that Baxter Stockman, yeah, he's a villain, but he's also not entirely committed to Shredder's agenda, right? He's never always been fully committed to Shredder's agenda. So I think there's more going on with Baxter Stockman than we had originally thought. All right, 2 more points, you guys. 2 more points about breaking down these notes. Yeah, I think it stands to reason there's going to be a new villain. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it like an evil Russian. If you look at the 3 different types of mutation, you have deletion, duplication, translocation. Underneath translocation, it says unintended mutations, ? So yeah, I think this is clearly showing us that there are going to be some unintended mutations here. Probably based on all of the experiments and the evil test mutations had by the bad guys. I think we're going to have an entirely new villain, or a villain that we haven't seen yet before in any of the movies, in any of the cartoons. Maybe in one of the cartoons, but hasn't come to prominence yet. I, for one, would love to see the Rat King as, like, if they did, I would love to see the Rat King in a live action movie first and foremost. But, you know, one character that we've just never seen in any of the movies or animated shows or anything is Old Hob. Where's Old Hob? What's he up to? I personally would like to see Old Hob. There's no cat references here. If you don't know who Old Hob is, just go back and read some of the comics. He's a very prominent villain. He's like a street level villain. He's not like a Shredder or Krang level villain. He's a street level. He's a street thug. He's the gang. He's the local gang organizer. He's half man, half cat. He's missing an eye. He wears an eye patch. He's a really cool character. There's no feline references on here, at least from what I can see. So is Old Hob going to be in it? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe. We'll have to wait and find out. All right. So the last thing that kind of ties all of this together, ties it all together. I think that having a working knowledge of the listed elements from the notes above, having a working knowledge of the listed elements will be key to both defeating the villain and finding Donatello. Now, Donatello's disappearance is not without precedence. There is a fairly recent, and by fairly recent I mean maybe in like the last 5 years, something like that. There's a storyline in the comics where Rocksteady and Bebop are fighting Donatello in some computer lab or something like that. Donatello's like, hey guys, we've been here before, you can't defeat me, yada yada yada, right? So Donatello, and not to say that Donatello was cocky, but he was very confident that he was going to defeat once again or get away from Rocksteady and Bebop. Well, guess what? He didn't. Rocksteady and Bebop beat Donatello to death. And it was a huge, momentous issue in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was very controversial. Some people are like, no, you can't kill one of the turtles. And of course, like, it's science light, so they found a way to bring him back and everything was fine. But for the time being, they killed Donatello. And it was a big deal. So, and again, like, let's jump back into the notes here, shall we? Donatello's gone missing. We have all of these. We have a deletion mutagen. We have a duplication mutagen, which might be key. Duplication. When things are duplicated, like your elbows or my swords. Okay, well, I mean, there you go. Deletion, when a characteristic is deleted, like fingers. We all know that the turtles have 3 fingers. And then you have another type of mutagen, which is translocation, the misplacing of characteristics. Question mark, question mark, question mark. We're not entirely sure what that means, but hey, maybe things go missing from time to time, right? But you have duplication as a type of mutagen. It's very possible. Where did I go? Sorry, guys. It's very possible that they might begin the movie with the death of Donatello. It's very possible. And maybe that is why April O'Neil is upset with Leonardo. He should have prevented this. Leonardo should have prevented the death of Donatello, and he didn't. And now they have to deal with the fallout. And now Leonardo has to go on this journey as to what does it mean to be a brother? What does it mean to be a leader? Who am I? What is my purpose? How do we get Donatello back? How do we keep this team together, right? I think that is going to be a central theme of this movie. Where's Donatello? What happened to him? Where did he go? Why is April upset with Leonardo? How does Leonardo become a better leader? How does all this science come into play? Who's the new mutated villain? There's so much here to look at, to unpack. But guys, I want to hear from you. What are your main thoughts about this? Was there something on Seth Rogen's list of like his illustration, his drawing? Was there something there that I missed? Was there something there that I just didn't cover? Am I leaving something out? Did I overlook something? Let me know down in the comment section below. All right, you guys, I feel like we've spent a lot of time breaking down the TMNT notes from Seth Rogen. So yeah, let's jump in. Let's take a little different movie news here, and that is this. There's another Jurassic World movie coming out. Woohoo! And it's being teased by both one of the directors and one of the directors, Colin Trevorrow, the director, the writer and director of the film, and one of the producers. They are Frank Marshall. They are saying that there might be a trailer for Jurassic World Dominion a little sooner than you expected. Now, again, I feel like there's a whole lot about this. What kind of a trailer are we going to get? Is it going to come next week? Is it going to come with the opening of Fast 9? I've seen a lot of talk online that it might open, or rather that we might get a trailer at the beginning of Fast 9. So again, let's jump into the chalkboard and let's talk about what kind of a trailer do we think we're going to get here. I think the most likely is that it's just going to be a teaser. It's very rare. Sorry guys, I need a little sip. It's very rare that we get movie trailers a year in advance. Keep in mind, this movie, Jurassic World Dominion, is coming out on June 10th, 2022. That's a little over, that is a year and 8 days from now. It is a year and 8 days from now. So why drop a trailer a year in advance? Well, I mean, it's very possible that they might, especially being that the director and one of the main producers on the film are kind of teasing this. But I think, let's go back to The Dark Knight for a moment. It's the kind of hero that we need, but not the hero that we deserve, right? So I kind of feel like the way that the world is moving right now, I kind of feel that we need a little injection of fun, of something new, something to talk about. And I think that's the Jurassic World Dominion trailer. It's a big, bombastic film, something a lot of people, myself included, have been looking forward to. So I think it might be just kind of a fun little injection of fun. Next. There is a possibility that we're going to get a full trailer. I think this is less of a possibility. Why? Because when you release a full trailer, you're giving character information away. You're giving plot details away. And when you do that kind of stuff, when you reveal what the story is going to be, or maybe what the mission of the characters is, we start to get really excited about it. But then as time moves on, we get less excited because it just means that we have to wait longer. Typically, movie trailers don't come out until maybe 4 months before the movie comes out. We get a teaser, and then we get, a month later, we get a trailer, and then a month later, we get a second trailer, and then the next month, the movie comes out, right? So we have, you start building this momentum, and then in that, you also have, IP deals, like ice cream teams up with Jurassic World, or you have Jurassic World t-shirts coming out, Jurassic World tennis shoes coming out. You have commercial spots all over TV. You see popcorn buckets at the movie theater. Maybe you're going to go see James Bond. But guess what? When you're watching James Bond, you're eating out of a popcorn container that says Jurassic World on it, right? So there's all of this other buildup that goes along with a full trailer. So dropping a full trailer a year in advance, I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. Third possibility that we're going to get with this Jurassic World teaser trailer tease is it's very possible that they're going to do you remember that short film Battle at Big Rock that came out 2 years ago now? Not quite 2 years, maybe a year and a half ago. It was 2019, I'll tell you that. There was this short film. It was 10 minutes long, written and directed by Colin Trevorrow, same guy who wrote and directed the Jurassic World movies. And it was called Battle at Big Rock. And the whole idea is that you have this family in a trailer. They're at a trailer park. They're all trying to enjoy their dinner. They're at a campfire, right? And Triceratops kind of walks through their camp. and everyone's like, whoa! And then you have an Allosaurus that also is trying to eat the Triceratops. And of course, the daddy Triceratops comes in, and there's a rumble, and all right. So the Allosaurus kind of backs off a little bit, and the Triceratops go off into the woods, and everybody thinks they're safe. But then the baby starts crying inside of the trailer, and the Allosaurus goes, rawr, and it starts attacking the trailer, and the family inside the trailer is trying to protect themselves, and oh no, and then the little girl, I'm telling the whole thing, it's only 10 minutes long, who cares? And then the little girl pulls out a crossbow and ka-cha, shoots the Allosaurus right in the eye, and the Allosaurus runs off. And that's the short. And then like during the end credits, we see little flashes of other instances where dinosaurs are kind of being a part of the modern day world in a negative sense, most likely. So I think it's possible that they may release that 10-minute short in theaters, again, just as kind of a promotional thing. They already have it. It's already been released on YouTube. A lot of people have seen it, but also a lot of people haven't. So if you go to the theaters, I wouldn't be surprised if in preparation for Jurassic World Dominion, very soon we see this kind of 10-minute short Battle at Big Rock play before the big movies. The fourth possibility that I'm thinking here is that they may release an all-new short film. That also is very possible. Battle at Big Rock, I think, was really interesting. I think it did a lot to engage audiences and say, all right, you've seen Fallen Kingdom, which was not a very good movie. You've already seen Fallen Kingdom. You know the dinosaurs have gotten off the island en masse. En masse. But now you'll get another little glimpse. I mean, maybe it wouldn't be a full 10-minute trailer, or sorry, 10-minute short film. Maybe it might be something smaller. But I think there's a good possibility that we might see another smaller short film kind of pop up in some of these opening credits. I think that would be kind of cool. Another possibility here is that very soon, because again, all of these details are being kept under, we know that something is happening. We know that something is coming. I think it's possible that, a fifth possibility here that we're not talking about just yet is that they might announce a new release date. There may be a new trailer come out with a new release date, and I think that's very possible for Christmas. We know that Jurassic World Dominion has wrapped filming. We know that they've been completed with filming for a few months now. I don't think it's outside the realm of impossibility that we might see a Christmas release date for this thing. I don't think it's outside the realm of impossibility. I think, because one of the things that we've known for a while about Jurassic World Dominion is that they had a very strict shooting schedule. They had a very strict shooting schedule. That's very hard to say. They pretty much kept to that schedule. And now they're in the editing process. They're in the post-production process. They're doing all the visual effects. And I think because of COVID, a lot of those visual effects were able to get finished and finalized and rendered, or at least story-wise, build the bare bones. Oh, we already know what the shot's going to be. Maybe they haven't filmed it yet, but now we can create the dinosaurs and create the other visual effects because we already kind of know, thanks to previs, what this is going to look like. So if the director signs off and gives us the go-ahead while they're paused on actual filming, post-production can happen maybe even before filming does. Maybe, depending on what it is, right? So I think there's a very real possibility that they're going to announce. Okay, yes, it's already been announced that it's coming out June 10th of 2022. But now we have the main producer, Frank Marshall, and the director, Colin Trevorrow of this thing, saying there's big news coming. Is it a trailer? Yeah, most likely, probably. But what if it's a trailer with a new release date? What if they bump it up to Christmas? This could be huge. This would be massive news. This means that they're ahead of schedule. They have confidence in the movie, which means, that they think it's actually pretty good. Unlike Fallen Kingdom. Oh, that was an abomination. I hated that movie so much. I think there's possibility here. I think there's a possibility here. And number 6, the sixth possibility here, this is a controversial one, you guys. This is a controversial one, but I think it's worth mentioning. I think it's possible they might split Dominion into 2 different films. Now, why do I say this? I say this for 2 different reasons. One, I mean, yeah, we already have the release date of June 10th, 2022, a year away from now. We know that they're going to be announcing some kind of big information. And what bigger information could they announce than having a Christmas release date? That would be huge. I mean, yeah, if they just released a trailer, yeah, that'd be cool and all. But if they bump up the release date by 6 months, I think they would knock this out of the park. But Mike, that's just moving the film up. Why do you think it could be split into 2 different movies? Well, I have a theory. You guys. Allow me to jump into... Let me put on my tinfoil hat for a second. I want to jump into this article from Variety. Now, this article, admittedly, came out a little while ago. A few months ago. February 9th is when this article came out. And Sam Neill, while being interviewed by Variety, had some interesting things to say. Let me jump down here. Sam Neill, who reprises his role as the paleontologist Dr. Alan Grant in the new film, partly filmed during the pandemic, and jokes that the cast excitably churned out what could become a 6-hour movie. Now, first and foremost, just this specific paragraph right here, it points out that he was joking. But then the article goes on, all right? Then the article goes on. It's going to be a big film. This is a direct quote from Sam Neill himself. It's going to be a big film. Director Colin Trevorrow has that childlike sense of wonder, playfulness, and inventiveness that Steven Spielberg has. We really shot a 6-hour movie. We were all very gung-ho. Neil says, speaking with Variety in his 2 paddocks vineyard, blah, 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 in New Zealand. He goes on to say, hopefully there will be thousands of massive cinemas ready for it because it's a big film for big audiences. And then he goes on, yada, yada, blah, 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 talking about filming and bringing all the characters back together again. But I want to go back and focus on this section right here where he says, we really shot a 6-hour movie. We were very gung-ho about it. We shot a 6-hour movie. Now, does that actually mean that they shot a 6-hour movie? No. Most likely, at best, or maybe at most, that means that they shot a lot of extra footage. He's a seasoned actor. He knows how long being on set translates into the length of the movie. How many scenes you film translates into the length of the film. He knows what he's talking about because he has literal decades of experience in this stuff. But he says it's going to be a huge movie. And they shot over 6 hours worth of stuff. Now, a lot of that is alternate takes. Yes, admittedly, a lot of that is going to be alternate takes. But if you squish those alternate takes together and, kind of trim a lot of the fat from the stuff that they filmed, I don't think it's unfair to say that they have maybe a 4-hour movie. I don't think it's crazy to think that they have a 3.5-hour movie. So if you chop that up into 2 sets, let's say that they, in its completed form, they have a 3.5-hour movie. That's 1:45 per film. So it's very possible, being that this is the 3rd chapter in the 2nd incarnation of Jurassic Park. It's the 6th movie. They're bringing all the characters back, all the way from Jurassic Park 1. They're even getting Dotson. And who is Dotson, you ask? Dotson. I got Dotson here. See, nobody cares. They're bringing Dotson back. They're bringing everybody back. it really does seem like this is the culmination of the Jurassic Park franchise. Like, this is the big hurrah. Are there going to be future movies? I'm sure there will. It's Jurassic Park. Why would there be future films? But I don't think it's outside of the realm of impossibility that we might be getting 2 Jurassic World Dominion films. I think they might be breaking this up into 2 films, and this big announcement that they're going to make, big things are coming, I think it's very plausible. Because again, having 2 films as your swan song is kind of a popular thing. Harry Potter, parts 1 and 2. Catching Fire, Mockingjay, whatever, Hunger Games, parts 1 and 2, right? Twilight, parts 1 and 2. It's kind of a popular thing to do. Endgame, come on, Avengers Endgame, that was a part 1 and part 2. Let's be honest. I understand they're 2 separate, distinct movies, but come on. I don't think it's outside of the realm of impossibility to break this thing up into 2 different movies and do part 1 in December and then part 2, keeping the June 10th, 2022 release date. I think that's possible. I think it's very plausible. Anyway, guys, these are just my thoughts. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this. What do you think the big reveal or the big announcement of the Jurassic World Dominion thing is going to be? Do you think it's just going to be a trailer? Do you think it's going to be a teaser trailer? Do you think we just need a little excitement and oomph in our lives, get people back into the seats, going back to the theaters? Or do you actually think it's going to be something bigger, like moving the release date or possibly breaking the movie up into 2 parts? I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are. Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know. All right, guys. Again, we've spent a lot of time talking about 2 different topics. Now it's time to move on and take an emailed question. This email question comes to us from the Nerd Zone. Nerd Zone, longtime watcher of the show. Nerd Zone jumps in, sends us an email all the way from the UK. And Nerd Zone says, the Cobra Kai Season 4 tease has been released. It wasn't big, but the filming has finished, and they showed one character, Terry Silver, from the Karate Kid Part 3. I think it will come out in Christmas 2021, not early 2022. I'm really excited. Well, Nerd Zone, you are not the only person super excited about this. I'm including myself into that category. And yeah, having Terry Silver from the Karate Kid Part 3 come back is kind of a magnanimous event. I think this is going to be huge. I think it's going to be crazy awesome. And there he is. Boom, Terry Silver right there. Now, I think Netflix did something really interesting on their official Facebook page, not on Netflix's Facebook page, but on the Cobra Kai official Facebook page. I want to jump over to this real quick. I think this is really funny. Cobra Kai and Netflix released a series of pictures to remind us who is Terry Silver. So for those of you who don't quite remember who Terry Silver was, or if you saw, and I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here and say that you saw if you saw Karate Kid Part 3, and you'd like to say that you remember, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you saw it. Here's just a quick reminder as to who Terry Silver is. Well, number 1, Terry Silver is the co-founder of Cobra Kai. You may be asking yourselves right now, what? I thought it was John Kreese. It was. But in Karate Kid Part 3, we find out that John Kreese created Cobra Kai with Terry Silver, his old war buddy, whose nickname was Twig. So that's part 1, the first thing to remember about Terry Silver. Part number 2. Money. When not training in Cobra Kai, Terry Silver's day job was running Dynatox, a toxic waste disposal company that made him one of the richest men in the valley. Number 3, Daniel's second sensei. What? Yes, that's right. Daniel LaRusso had a second sensei. In the Karate Kid Part 3, Terry Silver manipulates Daniel into joining Cobra Kai, creating a rift between Daniel and Mr. Miyagi. Number 4, the finer things. Terry Silver has impeccable taste, from high-end cars to golden telephones, private steam rooms to designer clothes and ascots, and etc., etc., etc. He's a rich jerk, for lack of a better term. And of course, nothing says villain more than a ponytail. Terry Silver, I love the description here. It's so Cobra Kai, you guys. Terry Silver has long hair and ties it in a ponytail, so his hair doesn't get in his face when he attacks you. I love these descriptions so much. Oh, you guys, when has Cobra Kai disappointed? First and foremost, when is Cobra Kai disappointed? It hasn't. And combine all of these terribly written, just dreadful groan of a description. 5 different descriptions for Terry Silver. Combine that with the, I think it was like a 30-second teaser trailer for season 4 that we got. You just see Terry Silver from the back. You see his ponytail hanging out. I've almost got a ponytail of my own going on back here. Maybe Terry Mikey Silver. Maybe that's what you're going to call me. Hashtag Mikey Silver. Yeah, you guys, Cobra Kai season 4 it's going to be great because we know what it is, and we know how silly and cheesy seasons 1 through 3 have been, and excellent, may I point out. So I think it's pretty fair to say that we're all excited for season 4. But what are your thoughts? Do you think season 4 is going to be insane? Do you think season 4 is going to be like Karate Kid 3 and kind of go meh a little bit? I'm not hating on it, but let's be honest. Nobody remembers Karate Kid Part 3. Let's just call it for what it is. Very few people remember Karate Kid Part 3. Just saying. Anyway, what are your thoughts? How do you think season 4 is going to go? What are you looking forward to most about Terry Silver? Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, you guys, we have one last bit of movie news to cover before we go in and take your live questions, your live comments and questions, and that is this. Aaron Taylor Johnson is coming back to a Marvel movie. That's right. Aaron Taylor Johnson, it has been reported. I don't know if it is actually confirmed yet. I think it's pretty close to being confirmed. Aaron Taylor Johnson is coming back into the not MCU franchise, but into the Marvel Entertainment Spider-Verse franchise, thanks to Sony Studios. We've known that there's a Kraven the Hunter movie coming. We know that Sony has been very keen on creating a Sinister Six team-up movie, right? We know that they've been wanting to do this for a very, very long time. And their former efforts of just, we're not going to explain the characters, we're just going to jam them together, and here's a whole bunch of blah, 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 blah. That hasn't historically worked out well for them. So I think it's a very interesting approach that they're taking right now. They're doing individual character films. We had Venom, which, surprise hit, it actually turned out to be pretty good. We're getting Venom 2 with Carnage. I think in one of the last videos talking about Carnage, I said Carnage. So we're getting Carnage. We have a standalone Morbius movie. Michael Keaton as reprising his role as the Vulture is making an appearance. There's a graffiti art of Spider-Man on the wall as Jared Leto as Michael Morbius is running down the street. So we know Spider-Man is referenced at least in this universe. We also know that the producers of Sony have come out and been very cryptic in saying, ooh, maybe there's going to be some crossover. We have ideas. We have plans. And you'll find out more once you see Spider-Man No Way Home. More will be revealed. To which we're all like, hang on. What? So I think it's safe to say Spider-Man is going to be making an appearance in these villainous films. And now we're getting Kraven the Hunter Aaron Taylor Johnson, formerly Quicksilver, not affiliated necessarily with Spider-Man. But yeah, I think they're doing a pretty interesting job at building up a Sinister Six franchise by doing what Marvel did, doing what Marvel Studios did, and just do individual character films. Get the audience to like and fall in love with these characters. Kraven the Hunter, I've always been a huge fan of Kraven the Hunter, and in fact, just before the show started, I was going to grab my copy of Kraven's Last Hunt, which is an epic Spider-Man story. If you have not read it, go out and read it. It's important. It's actually kind of important comic. It's not that long. I think it's like 6 issues long. It's an easy read, but it's a good read. So if you're not familiar with Kraven the Hunter, he's a guy. He's a hunter. He's been enhanced through scientific experiments, and he hunts big game. And after he's hunted every big game that there is, now he's after Spider-Man as his last hurrah. So, I don't think it's outside of the realm of impossibility to include Kraven's Last Hunt in this particular story for hunting down Spider-Man. Because that's his thing. That's Kraven's thing. That's his thing, you guys. Anyway, so Aaron Taylor Johnson, I don't think he's a bad pick. He's not whom I would have chosen. I think it'll be okay. Honestly, as I was thinking about this, I think I would have liked to have seen more of like an Idris Elba. Of course, everyone's like, Idris Elba for everything. Oh, James Bond, he needs to be, Idris Elba needs to be James Bond. Idris Elba needs to be this. But I was actually thinking about this, and I'm like, Idris Elba would kill it as Kraven. I think that would be really cool. But, I mean, that's not going to happen. All right, whatever. I understand they need to cast a younger actor because he signed on to multiple films. Idris Elba's getting older. Can't keep him, like, the realistic tendencies to keep him in a movie like this. Yeah, I understand. I understand why they went with Aaron Taylor Johnson. Anyway, guys, I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts about Aaron Taylor Johnson being tapped to play Kraven in the upcoming Kraven the Hunter movie? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you somewhere in between? Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, you guys. Normally, this would be the time of the show when we go in and take your live questions, and we would play this little ditty.
It's alive! It's alive!
But as you can see, we don't have any live comments. So we're just going to call it today. Today, that's the show for us today. You guys, there's a lot that we broke down today. I had a lot to say about Ninja Turtles. I had a lot to say about Jurassic World. I had a little bit to say about Cobra Kai, and I had a little bit to say about Aaron Taylor Johnson as Kraven the Hunter. If you're watching this on playback, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for sticking around this long. I highly doubt people are going to continue to watch from this point on in the video, but thank you if you have. If you've gotten this far, hey, hats off. Congratulations to you guys. If you guys want to get an email on the show, if you want to talk to me specifically, just send me an email at godallofthemmovies@gmail.com. As long as your comment is family friendly, we can make it a main topic here on the show. A main segment on the show. You guys, thanks for sticking around. If you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what this little canister of mutagen would want you to do. You guys, we live in a weird, crazy world where everybody has their own thoughts and opinions, and sometimes those thoughts and opinions clash. So if you have an opportunity to infuse a little bit of kindness into the world today, or to speak kind words to each other, please, I implore you, take those opportunities. As always, in the words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll see you guys next week. Coming to you live from Florida.